It's 23 minutes to the top of the hour. This is the Point Blank segment of Eyewitness News. Tonight on Point Blank, my guest is the Chief Executive of the National Youth Authority. The whole of this month has been designated a Youth Month. What does that mean at all? Are the youth of Ghana aware of this? What are they supposed to be doing in the course of the month? Also, my guest, who is Pius Hadzide, wants to go to Parliament. He wants to represent the people of Sujaman. Sujaman is in the eastern region. And we will have a chat on national issues as well. Pius, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Salom.
It's been a while. Should I take it that you've been working hard at the NYA? I mean, it's been a while since we spoke and a while since we met.
That's very true. And my warm regards to your good self and to the cherished listeners of Citi FM. It's been a while. We have been kept very busy looking after the well-being and welfare of the young people of our country at the National Youth Authority. These days we have a little less time for the media. When we were serving our time as Deputy Minister of Information, we were here regularly. Right now, our feet are on the ground more than our voices on radio.
But shouldn't you have a fine combination of the two? Because I mean, the youth are on media as well, and you need to reach them. You need to reach out to them there as well, whilst you're on the ground too. So I think the balance must be finer than you are doing currently.
I agree, and it is in response that we are here this afternoon. We are also heavy on social media. The young people are consuming a lot of content also on social media. I do agree that we need to find some balance, but we want to focus on the substantive work of building an enabling environment for youth development in our country. And we will find some time to also come by to report through you to the good people of our country, especially the young people of our country, on their government's programs and interventions towards their empowerment and development.
So when you talk about the substantive issues, I mean, building an enabling environment for the development of the youth of the country or the growth of the youth of the country, what really do you mean? What really is the job of the National Youth Authority? We know we have the Ministry of Youth and Sports, we have the youth wing of political parties, we have a lot of youth groups and everybody trying to appeal to the youth, etc. What does the National Youth Authority do in terms of building an enabling environment for the youth of the country?
Yeah, thank you very much, Salom. You know that our governance structure, we have ministries that are supposed to be in charge of general policy formulation, supervision, and monitoring and evaluation. But the ministries have agencies that do implementation. And so ours is one of the key agencies of the Ministry of Youth and Sports. I know that there's a National Sports Authority as also another implementing agency, and the Winneba Sports College. So the National Youth Authority is a specialized agency of state responsible for the formulation and design and implementation of policies that create the enabling environment that facilitates the total and holistic development of the youth of our country. And we do this through what I call broadly the upstream and the downstream approaches. Upstream approaches border on general policy formulation and policy implementation tracking. For instance, there is the need for a development framework that guides the holistic development of the youth of our country. And the National Youth Authority leads in the formulation of the National Youth Policy. When this administration took over, we inherited a policy document which was outdoored in 2010, and then its implementation plan was also outdoored in 2014. There's a gap of about 4 years. It was our view that the document we inherited had to be developed further we held the view that it was not comprehensive enough and looked more like the strategic plan of the National Youth Authority rather than a development framework for the young people in entirety. Because you see, youth as a generational concept, we have challenges across board, cross-cutting. The youth, for instance, have aspirations and views in education, especially at the higher level, tertiary education. People are being taught coding. People are being taught robotics elsewhere. And we are learning the day that Diego de Azambuja landed on the shores of Elmina, for instance. And the young people have been complaining that what they are being taught does not prepare them adequately for the future of work. That our curriculum does not reflect the needs of industry in a more direct and responsive manner. And so there is the need to review our academic curricula. So as the agency responsible for policy formulation, we will consult and then we will crystallize all the views and aspirations of the youth into a blueprint, a document. So in the National Youth Policy document, for instance, you will see that the young people have, and Cabinet has approved the position of the young people themselves, that there is the need for a paradigm shift in our educational philosophy, and that we should begin to focus on what prepares the young people for the future of work.
But is that not what the education ministry should be doing, even without prompting from anybody?
No. The education ministry is supposed to develop educational policies, but I'm saying that the policies affect young people. So the young people themselves have a vested interest in also discussing and speaking about these matters. And so their views and their own aspirations have to be crystallized in a blueprint. And it's not just in education, it goes through health, drug and substance abuse issues. It goes through interior, security and extreme radicalism and those ones. So you have to have a holistic document that addresses the myriad of challenges confronting the young people of our country. So you do that through a development framework known as the youth policy. Then, because you are not the Ministry of Education or you are not the NACA that does curriculum development, what you now do is to do implementation tracking, and you monitor that the views as captured in the policy document approved by the government's, Mr. President's cabinet, is what exactly is being done. So now you notice that there is a paradigm shift, and we are focusing on technical and vocational education.
So that's what the young people want?
That's what the young people want.
Or that's what they must want?
Well, no, that's what they must want, and that's what they want. You understand? So there's a confluence between what they must want and what they want. And the engagement with the young people will isolate the matter of what is it that you want. Because we are saying that nothing for the youth without the youth. The youth themselves must be consulted in discussions that border on their own future. So that is what they want and that is what they must want. Now, at the National Youth Authority, it's our responsibility to track that the framework that we have accepted and adopted for youth development to make the Ghanaian youth to become responsible and responsive adults are actually permeating through, and that we are following through on the things, the to-dos that we have listed in the policy document. So at the National Youth Authority, we do broadly the upstream work, which is policy formulation, policy implementation tracking, and then downstream, we also implement directly some programs that is aimed at developing the youth, that is aimed at creating the environment that enables the young people to grow and prosper into responsible and responsive.
Very well. What do the young people say about jobs and unemployment? A lot of them leave the universities or leave the schools. Even those who have even had tertiary education, a lot of them are all over the place wanting jobs. I don't know how concerned the National Youth Authority is about that and what the National Youth Authority can do, because you'll be a beneficiary of a general government success. And if government is not doing well and industry is not churning out the jobs, the young people will suffer, and that will become your concern. So what are they telling you, and what are you doing about that?
Correct. Youth employment or youth unemployment is a major concern to us, and it's a concern to the young people themselves, during our consultations towards the development of the National Youth Policy, which was outlawed on the 12th of August last year, during the consultations, the young people were unequivocal. They were clear that this is a national security threat and it should be dealt with. Government has responded positively. First of all, we understand that the state has to play a role by recruitments into the public space. However, there's an admission that the public sector alone cannot deal with the humongous problem of youth unemployment, and that the private sector should be leveraged. In fact, the more sustainable and realistic way to deal with youth unemployment is through the private sector. It has the capacity, the absorptive capacity lies within the private sector. So we have to create the environment that allows the private sector to thrive, to be able to onboard the people who need the jobs. We have to create the environment for the young people themselves.
But are we creating that? I mean,
Yes,
it's been talked for a long time. Are we really creating that?
No, we are. And I will give you a few examples. And I know that I don't want to sound like a broken record, but there are many interventions that have been rolled out to, for instance, stabilize our power generation and distribution, which is a major step forward in terms of the needs of industry, so that resources can be freed for people to be brought on board. But beyond that, the young people themselves, their can-do spirit, their entrepreneurial spirit has to be leveraged. And we know that the Ghanaian young person is able and willing to employ not himself, but to create our commonwealth. But there are barriers, for instance, to finance. And that is why you will notice that the Youth Start intervention seeks to inject some 10 billion into the Ghanaian economy over the next couple of years to create some 1 million jobs. Because a young person who wants to do some meaningful medium to small scale to medium scale enterprise, okay, could be mash kenke, could be wache, could be sobolo, does not have the wherewithal to go to the competitive commercial bank and provide the collaterals needed and those ones. That's a barrier.
But is that what we should be looking at really? Sobolo, ice kinky and things, when our counterparts in other parts of the world are doing more serious things, you know. So yes, it's good. It's a good starting point. But shouldn't we be learning to punch above that weight a bit?
I'm just giving you an example. There are people who are doing fantastic. The Ghanaian young person is very creative at heart and is willing and is very knowledgeable. And I'm just giving you examples. But of course, you know that if we encourage the production of the healthier Ghanaian sobolo over the
sugary fizzy drinks,
and then fizz drinks that we are importing into the country, all the better for us, okay? So, and our Ghanaian sobolo can break out like Coca-Cola broke out, like Pepsi broke out, and we can make multi-millionaires from that angle as well. So there's nothing, if you may, too I don't know about a job like that.
I see.
So I'm just giving you an example, but I'm saying that there are barriers. You see, there are barriers that we have to look at, and these matters are addressed through policy. And I'm saying that the Youth Start intervention, for instance, the NEIP, National Entrepreneurial Innovation Plan, for instance, is one of the practical interventions of government to remove that barrier, so that the young people can create wealth for themselves and create our commonwealth.
I see.
Also, the erstwhile moribund National Board for Small Scale Industries is now being revamped and repositioned and resourced into the Ghana Enterprises Agencies and agency, and it's doing fantabulous things. It's doing fantastic, and they are putting monies into Ghanaian businesses, and we are hoping that we are starting the journey to create the Dangotes of our time and the Kwame Despies of our time. People, the young people of our country, are being enabled to be able to create those jobs that we want here within Ghana. However, at the same time, in record terms, increased recruitments are being made into the public sector. But you see, you need an efficient public sector to be able to service a performing private sector. So the public sector in itself cannot be the solution. It can only be a facilitator to the solution.
I see. The young people, a lot of them have taken to betting because they don't seem to have a clearer path to employment. So when they get some little money, they venture into betting. Now the government is going to start taxing earnings from betting. Majority leader says the right thing to do because betting makes you lazy, etc. Some of the young people haven't been happy about that. You don't give me job, now I find a way of earning some little money, and you're going to tax that as well. What are the young people telling you about taxing betting?
You see, we have a duty to create responsive and responsible citizens, young people to be good adults for the future. And we have discussed this matter thoroughly at the National Youth Authority, and we are appalled at the proliferation of these betting schemes and how, in our view, it is destroying our moral fiber and destroying our value systems.
But you allow them in. you allow them in. So you allow them in.
So I don't know if you say you mean Pius Enam or what?
No, your government allows them in.
No, you don't say our government. And I didn't want to begin to do the blame game. Yes, government is a continuum. Maybe we should not have, but this happened long before some of us got
and they've
into
grown.
government.
A lot of them are coming up
Absolutely,
now.
and we are bemoaning
We are not
it.
controlling them.
Well, that's why right now you see that through this tax measure, we are seeking to disincentivize this culture that we are building.
But you tax their profits. So if you tax the earnings, you are punishing the young people, which is fine. But you don't leave the people who are creating the problem go away with huge profits. Tax
I'm
their
saying
profit.
that we should discourage the young people from betting in the first place. My view.
But there's a demand for it. There's
But
demand.
I'm saying that it's a misplaced demand.
Because they get money from there. I mean, they don't get money elsewhere.
If they got money from betting, the betting companies would have collapsed. The betting companies are getting money from the ones
It's a
who are
win-win,
patron-
is it not?
No, it is not. It cannot be a win-win.
No, but they
are
gain,
not
they
a charity.
earn.
They are not a charity institution. They
Yes, but the
feel
young
they
people gain.
They think that
They
they gain.
enjoy
but-
it.
No, they think that they gain, but in fact they don't gain. If they were actually gaining, then the betting companies would have been folding up. They would have been making losses. The betting companies are thriving because they are in good business. But you are thinking that they are gaining. It
No, but
cannot
I
be a
think,
win-win.
I think it's win-win.
It cannot be.
Every
No,
good business,
no, no.
serves the needs of the
No, no,
people
no.
and also serves their needs.
No, I disagree completely. For one to continue to be in business, you have to be making profits.
I see.
So, how do you calculate profits? You're calculating profit when you take away your expenses, and you pay all that you have to pay. The money
What
that
is left is your
profit.
profit.
So, if the revenue comes in through the betting, and your expenditure is the winnings that you pay, you did the balancing. What is left is what you call profit. You continue to get more of that. It means that you are paying less in winnings.
So
as
the
compared
National
to,
Youth Authority supports the fact that earnings from betting must be taxed
I think that our view is that government should actually do more
in terms
to
of
discourage.
taxing.
It could be through taxing. It could be through public education and sensitization. We have to have a conversation about the general value system and mindset reorientation of our country. Look,
Very well.
I had the unpleasant duty of watching a Ghana versus a country when we were playing the World Cup. The country scored Ghana. I was at the center when young Ghanaians were jubilating. We found out later that for some of them, the motivation was that they had betted against Ghana.
But if Ghana is playing Brazil, Ghana will not win.
But you see, you think you take it for granted. But if you allow this kind of mentality to sink in, and we are producing a country of young people betting against their country and putting their coin on another country, we are creating a dangerous precedence.
They are supporting competence.
No, it may look innocuous to you.
They are supporting competence.
But I'm saying that there is something that we call patriotism and nationalism. That competence, the so-called competence you are discussing, collapses before. You understand? And so if you are if you are putting your money on another country, and as a young man in your formative years, that is the training we are putting into you, and you grow with that mentality, my brother, we are creating a time bomb for ourselves.
Very well. But my guest is Pius Enam Hadzide, the Chief Executive of the National Youth Authority. We're having a discussion generally around the National Youth Authority, etc., and what they've been doing. The matter of the betting has come up. He thinks it's a good thing that government will discourage the young people from betting, and that's quite controversial. I'm not sure if the young people are happy with that, but that is the position that the authority takes, and he's justified that. Of course, he's also running for Parliament. He wants to go to Parliament on the ticket of the MPP at the Sojaman constituency in the Eastern region. So Pius, I mean, let's talk politics, mainstream politics. You want to go to Parliament. I thought you were doing a great job at the National Youth Authority. Why do you want to leave that place and go join 274 others in Parliament to be making laws when you are making impact from what you're saying at the NYA?
Well, ours is a call to serve. We have responded to the people's call, the voice
so the people have called upon you to run.
The voice of the people is the voice of the Lord. We have prepared ourselves. We have a track record in public service in this country. We continue to serve our communities. The chiefs and the people of my party and the entire constituency in Sojaman believe that we deserve and desire a better representation in Parliament. Somebody who is humble and still bold, somebody who is able to connect with other stakeholders and lobby around, so that the
current MP is not doing that. Thomas Nyako MP is not doing that. Is that what you are alluding to?
Well, the view of the people who have approached me are that the views of those people are that Sojaman deserves better.
So if there are two things you want to do for the people of Sojaman, what would those two things be?
There are many things. You see, Sojaman should become Ghana's tourism destination center of choice. We have the flora, the fauna, and all that is needed. And it's not too far from Accra. We need somebody who can lead us to package Sojaman and sell Sojaman to the world, so that we can attract millions of tourism dollars that can impact the local economy.
And all the MPs in the past have not done that.
Well, I can speak to the sterling performances of, for instance, Honorable Osameyaw, who was in Parliament between 2004 and 2008, and also between 2012 and
because
2016.
Because he was an MP?
No, because there is vivid evidence on the ground of what he has been able to do. And we believe that we need to develop upon what has been done and do even better.
But there are 3 or 4 others also in the run. I mean, the running for the spots. You know, how different is Pius? Why should delegates vote for Pius and not any of the other people?
Well, delegates will vote for Pius because delegates admit that Pius is a more strategic candidate. I mean, you go to a constituency where there are 4 major languages that are spoken, and none other than Pius speaks more than one of the languages. How is that possible that you are even able to communicate your issues and your plans, even if you had any? You don't speak the people's language. I speak the vast majority of the languages spoken in the community, which are the Tree language, the Krobo language, the Ewe language, and the Guan language. These are the major
and you speak which of them?
Languages. I mean, you know.
You speak Tree, you speak Ewe?
Yes, and I also do well in Krobo.
I see. I didn't know that.
So I'm strategic to the extent that we are able to use Pius to galvanize our base, the core voters, the MPP core voters. Pius is able to connect with them because Pius has stayed all his life within the constituency and worked and helped the people of Sojaman. So the people can attest to Pius's determination and commitment on the ground. And so Pius is able to galvanize the base, our core voters. And at the same time, Pius is able to attack NDC strongholds, okay, because of his strategic nature. And I said to you that he, for instance, can't speak
So
more
he'll
than
go
one
to the,
of the
he'll
languages.
go to the Ewe places and speak
we
Ewe
can-
and
we
rap
can-
them
we can
and sell
destroy
MPP messages for them.
NDC strongholds and turn them from the World Bank that they claim those communities are to microfinance branches, and therefore position the NPP and its parliamentary candidate to win. So Pius is younger, dynamic. Pius is resourceful. If I say resourceful, I'm not talking about having loads of money, but having the social capital to be able to connect.
And the
because
fact
of
that
the
Pius is the chief executive of the NYA obviously is an advantage in galvanizing the young people as well.
Absolutely. And the young people form the vast majority of the voters in our country. Between the ages of 15 to 35, there are about some 12 million people, about 38.2%. If you expanded it to about 40 years, we are talking about some 70% of the population of the young people of Ghana are people below 40 years. And I'm one of them. So I can relate and connect with them better. And the people know that when we talk about service, not just to the party, but to the community, Pius stands tall amongst all the other brilliant.
You have so you have two key things to do. One, win the party's flag. Nomination.
Correct.
And then now go ahead and beat the incumbent MP, who is NDC.
Yes.
So these are two difficult things to do. Well, we will have to end it here, and we only wish you
God be in our help.
Yes, we only wish you the best, and we hope to speak again when the contest gets hotter. When is the election? Sometime next year?
I am not advised of when the election is, and I'm worried. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to my party. I've filed nominations, and you asked me the question, when is the elections, and I don't know. And I think that there's something that we have to discuss. Maybe not on radio, but definitely the party needs to create a platform for some of us to ventilate on these issues. I mean, the uncertainty within the arrangements
It's not helping.
Is not helping.
I see.
And we need to talk about it.
I see. Thanks so much, Pius Hadzide. That's Pius Enam Hadzide, Chief Executive of the National Youth Authority, and also an aspirant for the NPP at the Esujaman constituency. He wants to oust Thomas Nyakuam Pim, who is the current MP in the area.